Skylark Outdoors here, and today we're going to review night skiing at the Highlands, also known as Boyne Highlands, which is located in beautiful northern Michigan. So we're going to take you on a tour of some of the slopes here and just show you what night skiing is, and you can see it's well illuminated here. And the Boyne Highlands Ski Resort is located in Harbor Springs, which is just north of Petoskey. It's about a 3.5, 4-hour drive from Detroit, or about an hour and a half from Traverse City. And you can see right across the way, that's actually another ski resort in northern Michigan, actually called Nubs Knobs. Now, so right now, we're going on one of the trails that is off of the Camelot 6 chair. And you can see over to our right, we've got a terrain park. We are actually on the Leprechaun Run. We've got the terrain park on the right. And then you can see this vast expanse of area to be able to ski and really open up. And this is kind of a typical night. I'm not sure when this was. I think it was February. And you can see the snow conditions are pretty darn good for it being night skiing. And they've got a lot of illumination so that you can actually see what is happening while you are trying to ski. And what I love about night skiing, it's just a more relaxed atmosphere and a little bit more of a party and a little bit of fun because you've got that vibe of nighttime skiing, and then after you're done, maybe go have a cocktail in the lodge or at the bar. So when you go night skiing here, they're going to give you a card that is an RFID card. You go through the RFID cards, and one of the things to know about Boyne Highlands is that it is actually also associated with the Icon Pass and Icon Pass Resort. So if you get an Icon Pass, depending on which one you get, you're going to have anywhere between 5 days at Boyne Highlands or 7 days at Boyne Highlands of skiing. So if you're an Icon Pass member, maybe this is one you should check off on your list. And if you're in the Midwest, typically Boyne Highlands, Boyne Mountain, and Nubs Knob are destinations for northern Michigan skiers, and a lot of people come from Detroit, Ohio, Indiana to go ski here. Now, what is really cool about this particular lift that we're going on, it's called the Camelot 6, is that this is a fully heated lift. So the seats are actually heated on this, and you can fold the bubble down. So on a really cold day, and it's really windy, and you can get that in northern Michigan, you put that bubble down, you're not going to get any wind, and then the seats actually have heaters in them, which help keep you warm while you're going up the lift. This is one of the most comfortable lifts that I have ever been on, and you're going to see more of these out west. I've been on something very similar at Big Sky, but super easy to load and unload on these lifts. They can slow them down really easy. They're what's called a detachable chair, so that means they can slow them independently, each individual chair that you're on, so that if some skier's taking a little bit longer to get on and off, it doesn't slow down the entire line. So that's a really nice feature of that. Now we're going to go down the same run again. I'm sorry, this is just the footage I got, but this is actually a very large hill for the Midwest. You've got 55 downhill runs, 3 different terrain parks, 16-kilometer of cross-country ski trails, and you've got 552 feet of vert. And yes, while I know that doesn't compare anything to out west, however, if you're in the Midwest, this is a great place to take your family, to learn to ski, and just get a feeling for if you like to ski. And even if you are a passionate skier, there's probably still something here that's going to be able to entertain you and you can have plenty of fun with, and just enjoy some of the amenities that they've got here. I certainly like the lift. They've got a nice little terrain park too. If you like terrain park stuff, they've actually got 3 terrain parks. And when we go up the lift the next time, we're going to see the terrain park a little bit better. But one thing I would like to note about this too, and a lot of people will think about Midwest resorts in a different way, that they don't compare to the steepness of out west. There's still some steep stuff there. But what you may have noticed is how quick we get up the mountain to go ski again. And in this second cut, we're going to go all the way up the lift and then back down, and you'll get an idea how quick it is. So you can actually get a lot of vertical and a lot of skiing in with these Midwestern lifts and with the detachable lift technology, because that lift continues to move. That rope is continually moving, and they're just slowing down the individual chairs, which means that you get a lot of vertical and a lot of time to go up and down the mountain. So this time we also went down the Leprechaun Run again. The next one we're going to go down is called the Upper Camelot Lift. So you can see we do our RFID card again, swipe in there. And another great feature of night skiing is typically the crowds are a little bit less. Now, sometimes with night skiing, you can worry about the temperature dropping and that causing icy conditions. This particular time I was there and the conditions, Northern Michigan, if you get a cold snap, what's great is that Northern Michigan will typically stay cold, let's say from January to almost March. And once you're in that cold area and cold time frame, what it means is you don't get that much icing, you just get cold conditions, and the snow gets groomed out every day. So because it is a little bit colder sometimes up there, it means that the snow typically stays pretty good. Now that's all weather dependent, but that has just been my experience when visiting Northern Michigan. And Boyne Highlands, Nubs Knob, Boyne Mountain, those resorts up there. Now, there's another resort people might have heard about called Mount Bohemia. That is in the upper peninsula of Michigan, so that's over 7 hours away to get to that resort. But the nice thing about if you do come to Boyne Highlands, um, is that you can go visit Nubs Knob. That's about 10-15 minutes away. And you could even go visit Boyne Mountain, which is another ski resort, which is probably about 30 minutes away. So you can do 3 ski resorts in a weekend. Let's say you had a 3-day weekend. You took off Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You could go to all 3 of these different ski resorts and really enjoy the skiing and what each one has to uniquely offer. So you can see the terrain park here. Over here on the left, they've got some jumps, they've got some rails, they've got some boxes, a little bit of everything to get your feet wet in terrain park. There's another couple terrain parks on other sides of the hill, but the one over here is great for beginners. And I don't know if you saw it right at the beginning of the terrain park. There actually was a half pipe, or maybe we're going to come up on the half pipe. So if there's enough snow, a lot of years they'll try and build a half pipe, which is pretty cool. So you can see how fast this lift moves up, and you might not have noticed when we got on the lift. These are more like almost like a car chair than they are a typical lift that you would sit on. They even have a higher back and headrest, which is really nice. There you go. That's the half pipe that they're building. So that's pretty cool that they had a half pipe when I was there. So if you want to get on a half pipe, you don't see that all the time. It does take a lot of time and effort for the cat crew to build a half pipe. So pretty cool that they made the investment to do that. And I hope if you go there, you get the snow conditions where you're going to have a half pipe. You can see they've got some bigger jumps up here at the top of this terrain park. So even though we're up high and they may look small, these are actually pretty decently sized jumps so that you can get some serious air on if you are going pretty fast. And you can see a couple skiers are on there. 1 or 2 guys actually just did a jump there. And you can see all this snowmaking equipment that they've got stashed here. One nice thing about Northern Michigan is typically it is pretty cold, so they can make snow even if it isn't snowing naturally. But the last couple of winters, Northern Michigan has had pretty good snow and pretty good snowfall, 120 plus inches in 2024-2025 season. And so hopefully that continues for 2025-2026. However, what a lot of people don't know is that some of the most advanced snowmaking technology and some of the best expertise for snowmaking is actually in Northern Michigan. And people that are professionals in the snowmaking industry, actually a lot of times resorts out west want to grab these people to help them make snow. And that's just because Northern Michigan doesn't always get consistent snow. So more resorts were dependent on snowmaking. It's just been the last couple of years, fairly good natural snow. So always hope that all the resorts get a good natural snowfall winter. However, if they don't, prepared to do that. Another advantage of being able to make snow here is that you have a smaller amount of terrain to cover. At 435 skiable acres versus out west resorts sometimes are thousands of acres, and that just would be very hard to do. So you can see now we're on the other trail. This is called Upper Camelot. You can see over to the left, we've got that terrain park if you want to enjoy that. But this is really well lit up. I will make a couple recommendations. If you do go night skiing, Get clear goggles or yellow goggles, just decide which ones you want, or get convertible lenses that can go from clear um, to like a gray or darker color during the daytime. And that's just going to make it more enjoyable so you can see what's going on. But you can see the snow's pretty good and not too busy here or anything. And these are probably the busiest runs during night skiing because this is kind of that main chair right at the lift. There's a ton of other terrain that is open for night skiing. They keep pretty much the whole thing open most of the time for night skiing, which is great, especially during peak season. It's just I ended up on these couple of runs for doing this review and the footage of the video. So I apologize for that. Next time I'm at Boyne Highlands, I'm going to take some more footage for you, give you a more in-depth review. But a couple of the cool things about Boyne Highlands is there are a couple places to go grab a drink, get something to eat. They've got the cafe, the slopeside lounge, the zoo bar, main dining room. They've got kind of like a cafeteria area. They've got Champion's Pizza. And if you end up there, I highly recommend you go to the Waffle Cabin if you want a sweet treat. And tell them I sent you there, Skylark Outdoors. They'll enjoy that. And hopefully you have a great ski vacation and you've enjoyed this review of night skiing at Boyne Highlands. We'll see you next time. Please subscribe and give us that thumbs up.